Um, Thank you very much for the introduction and for the invitation to talk here in Hong Kong. It's a pleasure. I wonder how I should do this. I should have finished 10 minutes ago. So it's great because I wanted to talk about time and it's really perfect. It's over. That's all I have to say. No, but seriously, should I do 10 minutes, 5 minutes, 20 minutes? Ah, okay. So I will... No more than 30 minutes. Okay. I will try. So I wanted to talk about many things, and it's too much, and I wanted also to try not to repeat myself all the time. Yeah, like this better. But yeah, I wanted to talk about time, and there's one thing I was thinking about coming here, is that in Eastern philosophy, the concept of time as an abstract thing didn't exist before it was imported by the Western civilization and society. Meaning there was other way of approaching what we in our time now use a lot, this concept, abstract concept of time, which allows to know when something starts, when something finishes. It also is helpful to know when we are together and not together, things like this. So it's interesting for me to try to, or it would be a way to discuss about this, is trying to think otherwise, outside of this abstract concept of time. But thinking about this, I realize also that it's very much talking in the direction of what I've already been said here, that we are in a world which has been, of course, globalized through a way of thinking that mainly come from the West, and especially the thing about time is extremely powerful. How powerful? I think mainly there is something about synchronization, and that's as operates through the development of techniques. One can think about the first books, then maybe the radio, much later, television, internet. All this technique, one of the things that they produce is that they make all of us synchronize at certain point. Yeah, and this maybe I use this because I wish I could think about the effect of this synchronization and the role of synchronization that we are submitted to when one attend an event in a theater and when one go to an exhibition space. I think that operates differently, and I would try to unfold this. So there's one thing I wanted to say before beginning. Another thing I wanted to say about beginning to answer to the invitation was again about time. This idea of how time is commodified, and one of the production of this commodification of time is that we have value for some occupation, like listening to music. A song, 3 minutes. 3 minutes is 99 cents. A movie, €9.99 or $9.99. It's like each like a unit of occupation of time as a prize. And now, thinking through this, I just saw the movie from Spike Jonze called Her. I don't know if you have seen it, but I try to say very briefly what it is about. So there is a person whose name is Theodore, is a male character, who is getting an operating system, and this operating system is developed with himself and developed through the relationship that he has with this operating systems, which become a woman called Samantha, and this relation developed in a relationship, and the relationship has a certain duration, and it ends. And I was wondering, so how much, if this is our future, how much will cost this operating system, proposing a duration that we don't know how long it's going to be? And then trying to integrate this in the use of all the medium that are proposed in internet. I was thinking, yeah, but there are a lot of things that we use for free. So how much this use for free refer to eternity? And this is interesting if one couple this to this, that each of these medium that we use for free, we actually work for, like when I get from Martin, this idea that when you are on Facebook, you are working for Facebook. So they make money, and you are on it all the time, and they this. So okay, that's the other thing I wanted to point out without really knowing. I think everything connects, but I'm not really able now to connect them. But I think we can use this as a frame. 6 minutes. So to come back maybe more to the question and the theme that is addressed here today and in the next days, and how I understood the invitation from Cosmin and Anna, was to talk about this new performance turn. So, and I guess I'm invited here because I've participated in this. I did some works, which I usually work for theaters, and I have done some works for exhibition spaces. And one of the question was what is a challenge to do this, or what is the interest? And I think in all this, I see three main problems, or I have encountered three main problems. One is linked to the use of the term dance, which is very often, I just did a piece called Retrospective, which takes place, it's an exhibition, it takes place in an exhibition space. It is done by artists, mainly dancers, that do actions and speeches in this space. And the critics are also the question that come to me are often, why do you want to bring dance in the museum? Or another, which is coming from a critic, analyzing the piece, comparing it also to what Anne-Theresa Kirsmacher did in Tate Modern, where she basically repeats pieces that she has done in a theater several times in an exhibition space, which is the Tate, comparing this to the work that I do, which is developed especially for an exhibition space, that has really nothing to do, coming to the question, is the exhibition space the place for a good place for dance? This is all crap. It's not interesting, and this is not a question that we should be interested in. Plus, when I have started to show works in the field of choreography, I have been marked as somebody who does non-dance. So now, after having done non-dance, now I'm invited to do dance in the museum, so I wonder which dance I should do. the non-dance one or the one dance, because actually I think museum want basically to see the dance that looks like dance. So there is a problem when you do something that doesn't really look like dance, but okay. The other one other thing which is so there is out of this maybe a problem that I see is the common knowledge, how we share the knowledge and between these two fields. But if we continue to use one against the other, or to see if it fits the other, or vice versa, it's really not going forward. So that's the first problem that I see. The second one is a sort of a confusion when it comes to talk about live performance in museum as a term. For me, one has to differentiate. There are pieces, works that are performed in a museum but have been made for a theater. I do this sometimes, performing self and finish or product of circumstances in the exhibition space. So what happened in this case is the museum is transformed in a theater, or one recreates the situation where the theater can be performed, and the all dispositive. So that's one kind of possible. Another kind which is similar to the first one, which is one would produce a work using live performance and do it in the exhibition space, but with an appointment at a certain time. It happens one time, or we can repeat it 2 or 3 times. But this is the same, I would say, kind of performance or relationship that is proposed to the public than the previous one. Very similar. Then there is another kind. I see Martin very excited. If you want to interrupt, you just do it. The other kind would be something that use live performance, but also perform the conventions of time and space that are proposed by museums, meaning they open at a certain hour and they close at a certain hour, and usually an exhibition doesn't go only once for 3 hours or 2 hours, but it goes over weeks, months, etc. So and this is for me another kind of live performance, and that's the one I am maybe more attracted to, with the question of what this can do. This can do definitely something else than what one can do in a theater and what a theater can do. Yeah, so that's the second problem or difficulty that I encounter through these experiences. The third one is when there is live performance that is done in exhibition space, there is a question of what becomes the artist who perform in this space. As exhibition space are often used or have been made to display objects, for me there is this question that comes with this way of doing things in museum with live actions and speeches, is how one does this without replacing the object by a human being or making the human being reduced to an object. And this is very, this is something that is, this is an interesting question, I think. And this has to do, and I hope I can talk about this. This has to do, of course, with money and how much, like if we want to make a fast comparison, how much it costs to place an object in an exhibition space, and how much it costs to have somebody in for the same time in an exhibition space. And there we have really big conflict in the budget of the museum, who want to have live, but say, oh my God, it costs so much money. So the one way is to pay back the people. So, and this is something I think we have really to resist to. Yeah. 14 minutes. So I have to make choice. Yeah, maybe I can do like this, a fast display of why I'm interested, or what I think is interested to. It is interesting to do something live in exhibition space, and using the convention of this dispositif. I will fast lay out for me the specificities of theater and exhibition space. When you go to an event in a theater, a performance, you go at a certain time, so there is an appointment, and it will have a certain duration, about an hour, 3 hours, or there is this duration. And as a spectator, you will sit at one place and stay there. So the time, you are not free as a spectator. The time is decided for you, and the space is decided for you. The role of the work is to organize that time. So the artist, the work, take care about this organization of time. No choice of the spectator. Another specificity important for me in the theater is the theater produce a community, and this community is necessary for the experience of the piece. And it is produced also by the work. So it's always individuals within a group that attend to a choreography or a theater piece. And along this duration, there is this community which is produced. But the individual cannot extract herself or himself from that. It participates in this. In the exhibition space, a visitor chooses time and chooses his space, and is a free individual. So in a way, there is not this request of being part of a group to experience a work. It can happen, but it's not necessary. So if I compare these two very fast, very superficially done, these two systems or these two dispositifs, the exhibition space is in favor for a free individual, the visitor, and the theater, somehow one is not really free. But in one we have the production of a group, in the other we have an individual. So if we rethink what I tried to expose at the beginning, what happened when I talk about my experience in museum, when I am in a museum, the time that of course I can choose the time, but what is the most, what is operating on myself is of course the general time that I live in, the time of, I have to do another thing. I have only half an hour, or if the video there is a video is 41 minutes 35 seconds, no, not today because I will not have the time. So I am free of my time, but I'm actually not free of the other time. In the theater, it's the opposite. In this contract, I'm totally free. It is decided, but I'm totally free. So there are all these contrasts or these differences, which I think are a potential when one works in an exhibition space using the means of choreography and live actions, because it is not about transporting the theater in the in the museum, or vice versa, like you were saying, like maybe there were pieces who have a need of bringing the white cube in a black box. Now it's not about bringing the black box in a white cube, which would be repeating a piece that have been done in the black box in a white cube, but I think there is something, and that's what I think I try to work on, to use this two dispositifs and make them either go against or together in order to produce something which allow for different time to coexist at the same time. If one does an exhibition that runs for 2 months, every day, people working 4 hours a day, that's the way I operate for the last work I've done, and we have done this also with Martin with his work production. So you do shifts, so in order that the work is always continuing, but so these are these little tricks that one find to do. But the main thing which is happening in these works for me is that they can propose something which is a process, which is not trying to, because it is impossible to replace the object, or who wants to be so alienated to go there and be like this as an image for 6 hours a day during 6 days a week during 2 months. Yeah, there is in this superposition of these two dispositifs the possibility of having different time coexist. So there is the time of the visitor, there is the time of the artist who is performing in the exhibition, and there is the time of these individuals that will work during this duration. So there is the development of the work with them, through them, that is another time. So I think that's the way I see the possibility of working. I mean, what exhibition space? I have 3 minutes in 2 seconds is very good. 7 seconds, yeah, 7 minutes, but it's only 21 here. So. At the same time, exactly. And now I'm lost a little bit. I wanted to talk more about money, so I will jump and talk about money. Talk about the last experience I've done. This work, retrospective, works with having 6 people in the museum during the 10 hours of opening of the museum. To do this, we had 3 teams of 6 people, doing each one 5 hours. To give an idea of the costs, so each performer performing 5 hours a day earns 120 euro, which is 12,000 Hong Kong dollars, which is in dollar, but that's enough, huh? People understand. So per day. So for these 5 hours. Sorry? 1,200. 1,300, yeah, per day. So there are every day 6. There were every day 18 people working in the space. So 18 times 100. So you can make the calculation yourself. At the end of the exhibition, each performer have worked 5 weeks and earned 3,100 euro. 31,000 Hong Kong dollar. Huh? I have earned for the whole work, which I count for 2 months of work, including preparation and all this, 6,000 euro, 60,000 Hong Kong dollar. Yeah. So that's basically what the what the exhibition cost. Costume, a pant and a t-shirt for each, €80. So that's almost nothing. 20 times, well, we have 20 performers. At the end of the day, the show was ran for 3 weeks, cost €110,000. Yeah? €110,000, so 1,200,000 Hong Kong dollars. Okay, quite expensive, indeed, for 3 weeks. But when we compare to an exhibition of the precedent artist who was in the same space, I hear budget of 1 million euro, but for 3 months. Yeah, but nevertheless, 3 months, so 330,000 per month, which means that if for this very expensive show live, if we would have the same budget, the performer, the artist, would have earned 10,000 euro. So 100,000 Hong Kong dollar for a little bit more than a month of work. For performing artists, this is like a lot of money. It's a lot of money, of course. But I just say this comparison to draw, because that's something that is, of course, at stake in this whole thing of having live artists in this space. On one side, I think is a great thing, because more and more artists have difficulty to find works in companies that have disappeared. Everybody does his own work. We have little work. We have only solos. You can do a solo for 200 euro, of course, but never. You have less and less this possibility of engaging in a company for a certain duration with a certain salary. This is disappearing. So maybe this place is this turn as maybe the potential of producing work, like giving work to people. But we have, I think, and this is one of my main concerns doing this, is there is really to be careful that the people who work are not considered like objects. Because if they are considered like object, then the budget of the museum says, no, we're only allowed to use this amount for people, but we have usually a lot for insurance company to transport the thing, we have a lot for travel of the object, but this is not possible to use for person, this is for object. So the live performance in exhibition space should work with what is normally used for the living force, the work. But this has to change. People need also insurance, so I don't see why this insurance money, which is very, very, very expensive, could not be used for having a very good insurance for the people who work in the museum. So that's another issue and another challenge that I see in this transformation or this new turn. Like there are potentials, it's great, but yeah. And maybe I make it shorter, and I can finish this. I talk about time, I talk about money. I've done it. Thank you very much.